The governor's incompetent. You know, Gavin. I know Gavin very well. He's an incompetent guy with a good line of bullshit, and he doesn't get the job done.
Good morning. How was your weekend? Welcome to the Neal Larson Show. It is 8:07. It's good to have you along. And the number, if you'd like to reach the program, is 208-542-1079. And right now, via text. You could call, but you'll sit on hold for minutes because, well, I have a couple things I want to say to you. And we have quite a mix, actually. We've got the whole National Guard being deployed to 19 different states. And, of course, the left is now warning against tyranny. And that's rich. We'll talk about that. Also, this gerrymandering issue. And you know what? There's a strain of conversation here that I think routes through a lot of this. Trump, of course, they raided John Bolton's house, something to do with classified documents, and I'm sure in the coming weeks we'll be learning more about this. There's some, I think it was Jonathan Turley who said that he could spend decades in prison for what he's hearing John Bolton may be guilty of. But I have a question, and in my heart, it's a bit of a conundrum. And I'll tell you the conundrum. I'm torn between trying to be fine, upstanding, wanting our republic to be a place of civility, and I'm torn between that and speaking a language only the left can understand. So this is Greg Gutfeld, and this is an interesting take that he has here when it comes to the prosecution of political enemies, because now they're talking about Comey being guilty and leaking classified information, perhaps even Barack Obama. You have John Bolton, as we just mentioned, and it's easy for the left to spin a tale of retribution based on the optics that we've seen. But here's Gutfeld's take.
Some people say it's retribution. I say, who cares? You know, don't lecture me on timing of lawfare. Don't lecture me on politically motivated, investigations. You guys invented this stuff. You love doing it to Trump because you didn't think it through. You were so confident that Trump was toast, that you could rattle off free punch after free punch after free punch without any fear of reprisal. So yeah, is it retribution? I don't know. But when you think about the constant lawfare, the gerrymandering, the Dems never expect it to happen to them. They're like home invaders who didn't expect a well-armed occupant when they showed up. And Trump is well-armed. This is kind of an ongoing masterclass for the Republican Party, the new Republican Party. To quote Greasy Gav, how to fight fire with fire. The conservative movement, which I loved for the longest time, they were kind of happy to fritter away their influence and power on the notion that they were always above returning fire. I write for National Review. This is disgusting. Let's write a 4,000-word piece on judicial reform. And then they don't do anything. They go back and smoke their cigar. They always felt it was beneath them to get in the ring and hit back. So it's one of the presents that Trump gave the Republicans that they desperately needed were balls the size of Jupiter.
Okay, normally I apologize. I would have edited that reference at the end out. I failed to get to that. But point being, it's not against the FCC. It's just a little crass. So my apologies if the kids were listening today. But here's Gutfeld, and he's making the case that even if it is political retribution on the part of the Trump administration going after John Bolton, who cares? And I get the argument. I don't know if I like it. I don't know if I agree with it, but I definitely get it. That imagine, if you will, you're playing a game of basketball, and the refs are allowing the other side to travel at will, to double dribble at will, to go out of bounds at will, and when they foul you, they punch you in the gut and throw you to the ground. And maybe they'll get a whistle, and you'll get a common foul, but no flagrants, no nothing felonious. No technical fouls. It's just maybe a common foul. And at some point after you play enough of that basketball against that opponent, and forfeiting's not an option because you want to save the republic, you reach a point where you say, okay, if that's how we're going to play, then that's how we will play. And at that moment, you decide if they're going to travel, we'll travel. If they're going to double dribble, we'll double dribble. If they can go out of bounds and not get called on it, then we're going to go out of bounds. If they're going to punch us in the gut when we go up for a lay-in, we'll punch them in the gut. At some point, you only put up with the rule violations for so long. And then you decide, this is their language. And if I want to play this game, I have to speak their language. We reach points like this in warfare all the time. Not all the time, but history's replete with examples where you realize you can't negotiate with terrorists, that you can't use diplomacy when you're dealing with radical, crazy, nut job terrorists. The only language they know and understand is destruction. You don't want to go there. You don't initially choose to go there. You try every method you can before you feel like you have to go there, but you will go there if you need to. So I don't know if the raid of John Bolton's home is retribution. I have no idea because it's impossible to accurately gauge motivation. I can absolutely see why the other side and why the media would look at it and go, that's retribution. The problem that we have, and I get that, if we're going to be honest about this, we can look at that and go, we get why you're saying that's retribution, yet you were completely silent about the R word when Mar-a-Lago was happening. You just tried as hard as you could to move on after the hoax and the narrative that you peddled to the American public for years turned out to be a nothing burger. It was a nothing burger the whole time. You never apologized. You never corrected. That's all it was. I mean, I don't know what the predecessor to retribution is. I don't think it's tribution, or maybe it's pretribution. But that's all the left was doing against Donald Trump, was trying to destroy his presidency. And after enough traveling, double dribbling, going out of bounds, and punching people in the gut, we reached that point as Republicans where we said, we're not going to take it anymore. And in places like California and New York and Illinois, if you are going to gerrymander, meaning your Democrat majority will go out and draw boundaries to pick your voters, the only choice we have is to do the same in places like Texas. I do find it funny on that front because you have the governor of Maryland. His name is Wes Moore, and they have one congressional district that's a Republican. And they're now going to try to gerrymander that one out of existence, and he's all in on it.
Or gerrymandering, as some people know it. You've said you don't like talking about it, but all options are on the table when it comes to your state. There's only one seat here that is actually Republican, and it's a seat held by Representative Andy Harris. Are you considering trying to redraw lines in Maryland?
Yeah, when I say all options are on the table, all options are on the table.
Are you actively looking at it?
Okay, so they get to have all options on the table. They get to have all options on the table, but we don't. We took years and years of abuse, hoping that we could find diplomatic ways to bring civility back to our public life, and we took their punches in the face for years and years and years. They haven't even given it 8 months. They can't take their level of emotional resiliency is nothing. You have Gavin Newsom talking about, we had this clip last week, they're going to punch the sons of bleeps in the face. Like they realize, they decided early in the first half They decided in a you have 40 minutes of basketball. They decided in minute 2 or 3 that they were going to travel, double dribble, punch in the gut, step out of bounds. We gave it till well after halftime. And so I look at this and do I like it if it is retribution? No. But I absolutely understand Gutfeld's point here. We've just decided to speak their language in return. They want to pretend they've never done anything like that. But when you look at the numbers of how many Republicans are in a state like Massachusetts or California to the amount of representation they have in Congress, it is clear. Now, it's never going to be spot on. You're never going to get it exact. But let me play this one. This is J.D. Vance. He was on with Kristen Welker on, I believe, MSNBC over the weekend.
We had way fewer House seats than we should have. One, if the Democrats hadn't aggressively gerrymandered, and two, if illegal aliens weren't counted in the census for purposes of apportioning congressional seats. The best estimates I've seen is that in California, for example, has 5 additional congressional seats than it should have because they count illegal aliens for the purpose of apportioning representatives. Meanwhile, Ohio, my home state, lost a representative. We're literally losing representatives for American citizens in order to give congressional representation to illegal aliens. Republicans are trying to balance out the scales a little bit for basic fairness and for the integrity of our democracy, which the president cares about as much as anybody in the country.
Okay, so he's right. The illegal aliens have come here and they have transferred political power from American citizens to themselves, to the blue states. Now, ultimately, I think we're going to have a Supreme Court decision on this. And it may even be a fight after that. But we have to have a Supreme Court decision where the court says you can count illegals for population purposes. They can't count for apportionment purposes. That these congressional seats are designed to represent the citizens of the United States of America, not people who snuck in, not people who violated our laws, not people who ignored and disrespected our laws here in America. They should not be able to be used as congressional representation, and that needs to be fixed. Plus, you have the gerrymandering, you have the illegals, you have even they went back to 2020 and they realized Democrats got overcounted, Republicans got undercounted, and in the cumulative of those errors, those injustices, we're now finding ourselves in a situation where the only way that we can even get back close to, I don't even know if it's close, but move in the direction of normal to where it should be, is for the Democrats to hold a mid-decade reapportionment process, redistricting. It's not reapportionment, but they are redrawing the boundaries. And I think you can make a solid case that the only way we not make this work, but the only way we preserve our republic is to fight the fire with fire. It's 8:22. We'll be back on News Talk 107.9 on this Monday morning. All right, 8:27 on News Talk 107.9. Neal Larson and Julie Mason. And you all, if you'd like to reach us on the Stones Automotive Group call and text line, here's the number, 208-542-1079. And really quick, I'm not going to open up the phone lines, Julie, for this flash poll, but for the next 2 minutes, we'll say, I would love our listeners to ask, do you care if what Trump, not what Trump is doing, but if the prosecution of John Bolton and others is retribution? Also, can I just add this? Because the alternative is you can't prosecute any of your political enemies, so they get a free pass, because if you prosecute them, it'll be viewed as political retribution. So it's kind of a no-win situation in a way. I have a theory, and I might be overthinking it. I told Julie this theory earlier, and she kind of gave me a blank stare. So I might be overreaching here. that John Bolton knew he was going to be investigated for this classified document thing. He deliberately became more vocal against Trump. So when the raid happened and the investigation and whatever prosecution is happening, Bolton deliberately created the optics of retribution against Trump.
Mm-hmm. We'll be back after a quick break.
Hey, it's Brad from Now 105.1 and QP99. I'm in the studio here. I love our studios, by the way. Ranger Rick back there. There's Neal and Julie doing their thing. Hey, when you want to advertise on the radio, what do? You call the radio station, right? But what do you do when you want to advertise on Facebook and Instagram and Hulu and Disney Plus and Peacock and the other TV streaming services? You can kind of click around on them and make guesses or read books or take courses online on how to do that advertising. Or you could call us at the radio station. At Sandhill Media, we take care of your local radio and digital marketing. So reach out to us at sandhillmediagroup.com and we'll make sure that your message gets heard and seen wherever your customers are.
The blank stare is, could that be? Absolutely.
Yeah.
It could be. I think my blank stare for you was, I don't care. None of it matters to me.
Yeah.
We got a text from somebody that said, I voted for retribution. I think that's how Republicans feel.
I think so, too. So let me ask this question. Let's say that I rob a bank and they run the security footage. They realize, well, it's either Brad Pitt or Neal Larson. And they end up proving that it's me,
okay,
right?
We need to update your
whatever.
icon.
It's just a dumb joke. So they prosecute me, and the bank president's happy about it. Is it retribution?
No, because you screwed up.
If I really robbed the bank,
yeah,
is it retribution that they're prosecuting me?
Uh-huh.
No. If John Bolton really mishandled classified documents or whatever it is they say he did, if he did the crime, does it matter if it's retribution?
Nope, not at all. You do the crime, you do the crime. We're experiencing the same thing with Kilmar Abrego Garcia.
Yeah.
He's an illegal immigrant.
Mm-hmm.
The charges of him human trafficking, if those finally hit the courtroom, he's going to get proven guilty for it.
Right.
There's video of it.
Yeah.
Like, why is it being presented that, well, Republicans are always going after people? They're criminals.
Right.
Of course we're going to go after them.
Yeah.
If John Bolton is a criminal, it's not retribution.
Yeah.
It is the justice system working.
And how do you... I don't know what qualifies as retribution. If somebody gets investigated for a crime they committed, is retribution created if Trump is happy about it? I mean, at what point? I mean,
where does that become?
Right. Where's that line of between justice and retribution if they really committed the crime? The difference here is Donald Trump never colluded with Russia.
Mm-hmm.
They had to manufacture evidence to make it look like he colluded with Russia.
Yeah.
That is a crime. I mean, they tried to frame Donald Trump. They tried to undo an election. If Trump's going after Bolton for crimes that Bolton actually committed, I don't see how that could even possibly be considered. I understand the optics, but I don't know how you could say it's retribution, so therefore you can't prosecute it.
I think you can make the retribution argument just about anywhere. A couple has been married for 5 years. The guy has never held a job. He sits home all day and plays video games.
Yep.
She finally leaves him. He puts out on social media, she's just getting back at me because I couldn't find a job. It's retribution.
Yeah.
No, you didn't work.
Right.
Like there's actually no crime involved there, but your actions are the reason that the following actions happen.
Yeah.
That's how I'm looking at this. You can call it retribution if you want to.
Yeah.
But there was a lot of behavior that wasn't great by a lot of people, and so actions happen.
Yeah.
Call it retribution if you want. I voted for it.
See, I here's what I think, and this goes back to the Gutfeld clip. And I love that thought. We voted for retribution. We voted because this is the only language they understand. But the difference is, if John Bolton committed these crimes, there's no controversy here. The left will try to make it one. Mm-hmm. There's not a controversy here. I actually think, though, the left doesn't care if Bolton committed the crimes or not. They don't care if Abrego Garcia actually committed the crime.
Nope.
Because that's a downstream from their anger. Mm-hmm. They don't care. They just think that Abrego Garcia is this nice, kind Maryland man who's being harassed by the Trump administration. Whether or not he committed a crime is irrelevant to them.
Yeah, they don't care.
Yeah, and I think it'll be the same way with Bolton and the others.
So why do we care? That's the question.
Yeah.
Don't give this compassion or grace towards a group of people who are going to continually manufacture situations to harm you.
Yeah.
Why do you care?
Yeah. Well, I know exactly. And when you think, I've had this conversation a number of times with people who they just don't like how Trump behaves sometimes, and they like, some of the things that he's done, but they just don't like how he behaves. And I try to have a conversation with them. You need to think through what the Trump family has gone through over the last close to 10 years now. They have done everything they can to destroy him. Even literally, they have manufactured hoaxes about him. They have slandered him. They've tried to destroy him in literally every way they possibly can. I give him massive amounts of grace and latitude to deal with people who are trying to kill you, mm-hmm. and to deal with people who are trying to destroy your livelihood. They're trying to destroy your family. They're trying to destroy everything about you because you've politically disrupted them.
Can I add one more to that?
Yeah.
They're also trying to destroy the country that you love.
Yeah, that too. So, you know what? I will absorb the mean tweets. I don't care if he utters a cuss word now and then because he's fed up and he's sick and tired of it because they've tried to destroy him. And I don't know how much it gets through to people. I do think it makes them think a little bit. They're like, well, yeah, I guess I can understand. But when you actually think through and try to empathize with what Trump has gone through, I think you would better understand why he punches back the way he punches back.
Right. I'm tired of everyone inventing a good guy and a bad guy in every situation.
Yeah.
Stop doing that. All you're doing is harming yourself mentally. Mm-hmm. Stop trying to make a hero and a villain.
Yeah.
We're trying to make a country where our children, our grandchildren, the people you love can have success, can grow businesses, can be independent, cannot be controlled by their government, cannot be poisoned by their government.
Yeah.
Those are the things we're aiming for. Stop trying to figure out who the good guys and the bad guys are.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. You're getting caught up in a soap opera at that point. Yeah, good point. 8:35 on News Talk 107.9. We're going to break away on this Monday morning. If you'd like to reach us, 208-542-1079. Real quick, the texts have come in. Nope, don't care if it's retribution. Someone said, I don't care. I also don't think it's retribution. I think it's just holding them accountable. We warn them that going after Trump opens a door that cannot be closed. Not retribution. No one's above the law. Words of the left. Retribution is not payback. Retribution is justice. Interesting thoughts.
Yeah.
We'll be back after this. It's 8:42 now on News Talk 107.9. Neal Larson along with Julie Mason.
Let's chat about Timberline Home and their wellness furniture. If you're that, well, Neal was just saying to me, I'm tired. I can't figure out why.
I know.
Maybe your sleep's not good enough.
Maybe so. That's probably a good...
It could be an option. And if you're just not feeling the best, why not go and ask questions at Timberline Home about their stressless furniture? It has revolutionized sofas, love seats, and reclining chairs. They are meant to provide the ultimate in relaxation and comfort. It's unlike any other line of furniture out there. They have several different configurations and reclining options with a myriad of different fabrics. They've got leathers, they've got colors. They actually have fabric that helps increase circulation in your body. So you can look and see if you've got a problem with inflammation, maybe you want to look into that. They're ergonomically designed for support and back health. Also, for those people who are looking to potentially have a back surgery in their future, maybe it's just your furniture. Maybe it's where you're sitting. Maybe you need to look at this wellness line. Why not check it out? It's the most comfortable you've ever experienced, ever will experience. Stressless recliners are also endorsed by the American Chiropractic Association. So right now at Timberline Home, you can save hundreds on your stressless purchase. Stop on by 711 East Anderson. That's in Idaho Falls. Again, that's 711 East Anderson in Idaho Falls. You can also go to shoptimberline.com, but with the stressless furniture, you really need to go experience it. So stop on by at Timberline Home.
Okay, and welcome back. It's 208-542-1079. That's the number if you'd like to reach us on the program. Julie, I wanted to play the Brandon Johnson clip. He's the mayor of, I don't remember what the mayor's name was before him, the lady.
Yeah.
Remember her?
Well, I'm glad we've forgotten.
High five.
All I can see is her hair right now in my mind.
It looks like a troll doll kind of.
Yes.
It'll come. It doesn't matter. I didn't think you could get worse than that. I think we've gotten worse than that.
He had high hopes to be worse than hers, and he has accomplished it.
He has met all the expectations of lousiness. So listen.
And so, look, we're going to remain firm. We'll take legal action. But the people in this city are accustomed to rising up against tyranny. And if that's necessary, I believe that the people of Chicago will stand firm alongside of me as I work every single day to protect the people of this city.
Lori Lightfoot. That was
of course, someone was going to text us.
We have like 1,000 crack researchers out there.
They're helping us out.
Okay.
By the way, Brandon, you're not protecting your city, which is why he's saying he's going to bring the National Guard in.
Here, let me ask you this question. I'll ask it to the ether because we're not broadcasting in Chicago. But this would be a flash poll I would do in Chicago if our radio show was in Chicago. Would you rather have the National Guard on the streets, or would you rather have dangerous criminals that are going to carjack you on the streets? Mm-hmm. And I would bet you if you could get people to be honest in Chicago, the National Guard showing up to help crack down on immigration. I don't know how much law enforcement they're going to do in terms of the crime in Chicago. This is more about assisting ICE and the federal agents there than anything. But I bet you for many of them, they're going to be like, this is going to be a breath of fresh air. Mm-hmm. We're tired of our leadership not enforcing the law here.
Mm-hmm. There's lots of difficulties here, too, with these big cities because the DAs and the legislature have changed how they prosecute crime.
Yeah.
So you're going to have 13 and 14-year-olds packing guns and doing the work of the gangs.
Yeah.
And you can't do anything to them.
That's crazy. Mm-hmm. That's crazy. Yeah. So, how much of this do you think the country will... I look at it, I don't think it's clearly not tyranny, the way Brandon Johnson's describing it. And it's weird that they call it that because you had these cities that shut down completely during the pandemic. They were prosecuting aggressively people who left their homes when they shouldn't have.
Do you remember the National Guard walking down the streets of the suburbs in Minnesota? It was Minnesota. It was Tim Walz. And if you were outside of your home, you were going to be arrested.
Screaming to them, go back inside.
Yes.
And all they were doing was standing on their porch.
They're standing on their porch. So it's okay to call in the National Guard for that.
Right.
It's not okay to call in the National Guard when people are murdered every weekend. People are shot every weekend in Chicago.
Yeah.
In not just one or two. We're talking double digits of gunshot wounds that happen in Chicago every weekend.
Right. And that's more tolerable than, and who knows, if maybe a few hundred National Guard are going to show up in Chicago. Mm-hmm. They're not even going to see them.
Nope.
I mean, if this is if Trump wanted to do like to flex his tyranny muscles, he'd send a lot more National Guard. He'd make them very visible everywhere. That's not what's happening here. Mm-hmm. All right. 847-208-542-1079. And someone said, whoops, because they said Bowser. And then they're like, whoops, too many terrible mayors to get them confused.
Lori Lightfoot and Bowser can be right there together.
Yeah.
But you called, I can't remember who you were calling Jasmine Crockett and Gavin Newsom, Tweedledum and Tweedledee last week.
Yes, yeah.
Lori Lightfoot and Bowser can be the same thing.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. There are a lot of them right now.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there are a lot of Democrat Now, the Democrats have always had these politicians, but it seems like right now we have an abundance of crazy. Mm-hmm. It used to be AOC was the crazy one. Now it's Jasmine Crockett.
Yep.
But then you have these mayors and governors of states that they're just operating. They're buffoons. Like,
are they just so hungry for a headline?
Maybe that's how you stick out. I don't know.
I don't know either.
I don't know. Let's go to the phones. 208-542-1079. Hi, caller. How are you today?
Hi, fine. I'm calling about the claims of federal overreach into city police departments. And if they do start taking over a lot of city police departments, it probably is federal overreach. However, it was happening for a long time before Donald Trump became president. I'm looking at an article now. Justice Department reaches agreement with City of Newark, New Jersey, to reform police department's unconstitutional practices. And Newark was just one of many, many big cities that the federal Justice Department forced into agreements with them for federal oversight to kind of take over and supervise their practicing of police. Generally, it was done for what they claimed was racism causes, being too hard on certain races, ones that commit more crimes, of course. And so that's been happening for a long time, and it's hamstringed a lot of cities' ability to police their jurisdictions.
Yeah. An interesting point. So there's been federal involvement on the local level all the time. It's just when you don't
large cities for decades.
When you don't like it, that's when you get to call it tyranny.
When you go, oh, this is so bad. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Thank you for the call. 208-542-1079. Let's just break. We'll come back. We'll have our final segment coming up on News Talk 1079 this hour. We have another hour ahead. All right, 8:54 on News Talk 1079. Right now, Donald Trump in the White House, the Oval Office, about to sign an executive order. Let's listen in.
Some very bad people. And in the last 11 days, again, I hate to say it because it sounds so ridiculous, but in the last 11 days, we've had no murders. And that's the first time that's taken place in years, actually years. We always have a murder a week. They call it a murder a week. You come here from Iowa, you come here from Indiana, you come here from Idaho, because you're so proud of your country, you love your country, and then you get murdered. Your son gets murdered, your daughter gets murdered, you get murdered. See the media, you get murdered. Many of you have been mugged in Washington, you just don't want to talk about it. And I know that every time I do this with you, you almost everything, but every time I do this with you, people are saying to yourselves, he's right, and then you write a negative story. But we are doing an incredible job. The people behind me are amazing. We're working very well with the Washington police, as you know. The D.C. National Guard is unbelievable. We're also...
So we can tell you this executive order looks like it's to end cashless bail in D.C. amid the crackdown on crime.
Washington is booming again. People are pouring in like we haven't seen for years. Nobody wanted to come here. They didn't want to come here and get murdered. I have a friend of mine who has a very successful son. And I said, where is your son going to be this weekend? He said he's going to Washington with his friends. I said, really? Yeah, he's wanted to do it for 4 years, but he couldn't do it because it was so unsafe. And he's a tough kid, too. It's so unsafe. And he ended up staying 3 nights, going out to restaurants all 3 nights. He said it was so beautiful, so peaceful, because all the criminals are either arrested or they're hiding, and we're finding the ones that are hiding. So I want to thank Pam Bondi. I want to thank our vice president. I want to thank everybody standing behind me. Because they are really, Gaddy, you've been unbelievable, by the way. They have done an unbelievable job. They're working 24 hours a day. And Washington, D.C. is now in great shape. I'm going to be working with Clark Construction, which is by far your biggest construction company. And we're going to also beautify Washington. We're going to rip down the broken medians, fix them. We're going to put asphalt on the roads. We're not ripping them apart like these stupid people do. They rip a road down to the dirt, and then they spend 5 years in building the new one, and then it starts settling. You know, the whole thing is so crazy. And they'll spend hundreds of millions of dollars on a road. I'll spend about $2, and it'll look better. So we're going to be replacing medians. We're going to be replacing much of the asphalt in the road, which in the city, which is in bad shape. We have great stripers. We have great contractors, but we have to let them do the thing. The Congress has said that they'll give us whatever money is needed to fix up the Capitol. This is the Capitol. And we're not going to spend a lot. It's going to go fast, and it will be spotless. And we want it spotless for the World Cup and for the Olympics. You saw the World Cup was here the other day. And come to think of it, there's your trophy for the World Cup. In fact, it's solid gold. That's actually solid gold, so heavy that some of the people in this room wouldn't be able to lift it up. I think what I'm going to do is place it right above the angel, right over there. That's solid gold, too. We're going to put it right up there. Look at that. There's a solid gold trophy. They know how to get to me, you know. I like the angel better, to be honest with you. So, we're going to sign, and then we'll take a few questions, and we'll tell you how good a job we're doing. We want to go from here to other places, but I was telling some of the people that in a certain way, you really want to be asked to go. You know, I hate to barge in on a city and then be treated horribly by corrupt politicians and bad politicians, like a guy like Pritzker. He ought to spend more time in the gym, actually. This guy is a disaster. Gavin Newsom's a disaster. When we went, we saved Los Angeles. You wouldn't have been able to have the Olympics in Los Angeles. You're barely able to have it now. They did lose 25,000 houses to a fire that should have never occurred because they didn't let the water come down from the Pacific Northwest, which you guys don't want to write about. I had to break into the water supply to let the water down. And even now, we want more. We can have much more. It's less than half of what should be coming in. I don't know. They have a political thing about it. It's like the craziest thing.
All right. We are bound by the clock here, so we'll take a break. Knowing Trump, he will be answering questions for quite some time. So when we get back after the news, if he's still taking questions from the room full of reporters, we'll carry some of that as well. It's 8:59. Hour 2 of the Neal Larson Show is coming up. All right, welcome back. It's hour 2, 9:07 on News Talk 1079. Neal Larson along with Julie Mason. Trump in the midst right now of signing a series of executive orders that are helping to crack down on crime. The first one, probably the headliner, Julie, is the first one he signed that basically denies federal funding to jurisdictions that are implementing cashless bail, which they say is a big driver of all sorts of crimes, usually in larger cities. And so Trump's still in the room, still talking. Let's listen and see what he has to say.
The president wanted it. The president didn't want this. The president didn't know he was alive, okay? He never approved any of this stuff. He wasn't for open borders and all the other things. He was never for open borders. I've known Biden a long time. He was never very sharp, but he was never in favor of open borders and all of the other things he did to destroy our country. Let's go.
Lastly, sir, this is an executive order on flag burning. It charges your attorney general.
Would you listen to this? This is very important. Flag burning. All over the country, they're burning flags. All over the world, they burn the American flag. And as you know, through a very sad court, I guess it was a 5-4 decision, they called it freedom of speech. But there's another reason, which is perhaps much more important. It's called death. Because what happens when you burn a flag is the area goes crazy. If you have hundreds of people, they go crazy. You can do other things. You can burn this piece of paper. But when you burn the American flag, it incites riots at levels that we've never seen before. People go crazy. In a way, both ways. There are some that are going crazy for doing it. There are others that are angry about them doing it. Do you want to discuss that?
Sure. So what the executive order does, sir, it charges your Department of Justice with investigating instances of flag burning, and then where there's evidence of criminal activity, where prosecution wouldn't fall afoul of the First Amendment, and instructs the Department of Justice to prosecute those who are engaged in these instances of flag burning.
And what the penalty is going to be, if you burn a flag, you get 1 year in jail. No early exits, no nothing. You get 1 year in jail. If you burn a flag, you get, and what it does is incite to riot. I hope they used that language, by the way. Did they?
Yeah, incitement.
Incite to riot. And you burn a flag, you get 1 year in jail. You don't get 10 years, you don't get 1 month. You get 1 year in jail, and it goes on your record. And you will see flag burning stopping immediately, just like when I signed the Statute and Monument Act. 10 years in jail if you hurt any of our beautiful monuments. Everybody left town. They were gone. Never had a problem after that. It's pretty amazing. We stopped it. But this is something that's, I don't know, in a certain way, it's equally as important. Some people would say it's more important because the people in this country don't want to see our American flag burned and spit on. And by people that are, in many cases, paid agitators. They're paid by the radical left to do it. You talk to these people, they don't even know, half of them don't even know what they're doing. They say, I don't know, they gave me money to do this. I see the same things that you do. They're bad people. They're trying to destroy our nation. That's not working because I think our nation now is the most respected nation anywhere in the world by far. You saw that with the European leaders on Friday. You saw that with NATO where they agreed to go from 2% no pay to 5% fully paid up. Trillions of dollars paid, where they respect your president to a level that they jokingly call me the president of Europe. They call me the president of Europe, which is an honor. I like Europe, and I like those people. They're good people. They're great leaders. And we've never had a case where 7 plus really 28, essentially 38 countries were represented here the other day. 38 European countries were represented. European and other countries were represented. And it was a great meeting. But your country is respected again. I say it all the time. 1 year ago, our country was dead. Everybody said it. We had a dead country. We were not going to survive. Now we have the hottest country anywhere in the world. So it's an honor to be involved. And this group has a lot to do with it, right behind me. Does anybody behind me have anything? Pam, would you like to say something?
Sure, President. Thank you for keeping D.C. safe. You know, just a couple examples of a mother, a single mom, whose house was burglarized, and the defendant got out on cashless bail, went back the next night and burglarized her house again. That's why this is so important. A man got in a fight with another guy. He had a gun. He was let out. Next night, he got out, went back, and killed him. So that's why it's so important, President, what you're doing. And thank you for protecting the American flag. And we'll do that without running afoul of the First Amendment as well. And President, I think I think Gaddy Serralta had something he wanted to give you on behalf of all the law enforcement who are out there every single night.
Yes, thank you for putting me in charge of this surge. As the director of the United States Marshal Service, it's the oldest law enforcement agency. It was created in 1789. So on behalf of all the federal law enforcement agencies that we're working with and those that have yet to join the team, we thought it was only appropriate to present you with an honorary United States Marshal Service badge. And this badge comes with this little item right here, which is a handcuff key, Mr. President, because you continue through your policies and your efforts with your staff to unhandcuff law enforcement officers all over this nation. And I can tell you personally that they thank you for that.
Thank you. That's beautiful.
You can continue unhandcuffing law enforcement.
That's a very great honor. I'll save that and put it someplace up, which is important. Thank you very much, Gary. I appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
Really nice. Thank you. That's very nice. Thank you. Well, we love those people. They're brave and they love our country and they don't want to see it. Do you know how many people volunteered for this job? And before I ask the VP to say a few words, because he feels very strongly about it, I think it's very important, Pam, that when we do this, that a state they come and ask us. I mean, I see Pritzker saying, we don't want them. In the meantime, his city is being shot to hell. And they do that politically. And they probably do want it. If we didn't go to Los Angeles, you would literally have had to call off the Olympics. It was so bad. And the sheriff and the law enforcement people, but the sheriff said, and he came out very strongly, he said, if we didn't have these people, we were not able to control it. Now, 4 days later, after we had it totally under control, we did that quickly. He changed his tune a little bit. Well, I think we could have done it. They were dead. If we didn't send in the troops, Los Angeles was dead, the Olympics was gone, the World Cup was gone, everything was gone. We did a great job. And Newsom, he's an incompetent governor.
Okay, you're listening. We'll maybe revisit this. I think Vice President Vance is going to speak here momentarily. Your thought, Julie, about an executive order on burning the American flag?
I don't have the legal prowess to say whether or not this can work or not work. Bondi said it absolutely is not a First Amendment infringement.
Yeah.
So we're going to trust her at this point. We'll see how I'm sure that would end up in a court case. 100%.
I think it'll get instantly challenged. And I think it may be the toughest executive order to defend that he's signed so far. Mm-hmm. And it sounds like the approach is, we're not going to prosecute you for burning the American flag. That's protected speech. But if you burning the American flag leads to a riot,
incitement, you
will go to prison. Mm-hmm. And so you could say, well, it's sixes.
Yeah, how do you define that?
But, are people going to want to take the risk of burning the American flag, which actually is designed to be provocative, to provoke people? Mm-hmm. You wouldn't go out in the middle of the, forest somewhere and burn a flag because you're not making a statement.
Because no one's around, yeah.
You want people to be provoked by it. So yeah, I look at it and I think it's an interesting legal strategy, but I don't know if it's going to be a defensible one.
Yeah. I appreciate the try.
Yeah.
We'll just have to see how this plays out. I was scrolling X while he was talking, and a video popped up, reminded me of events that have happened in New York City. Do you remember the videos of the illegal immigrants getting arrested and then taken in, and it was cashless bell, and they walked right back out, and they're flipping off the cameras?
Yeah.
This is why Trump is doing what he's doing.
Yeah.
That was disrespectful to the America that he loves.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know how you didn't expect this to come.
Yeah. No, and I'm thrilled with that one. Mm-hmm. And they should not get a dime of federal support if they're going to have policies like that.
Right.
Because it ruins their communities. Mm-hmm. It's very sad. So let's check back in.
Once again. Thank you, sir. It's going to get better and better. Well, it can't get much better. There's no crime. I read where crime's down 89%. I said, really? Who are the 11%? Okay. There's no crime. J.D., please.
Yes, sir. Well, thanks, Mr. President. Thanks to the incredible team here. I want to echo something the president said, where you say there haven't been murders in a couple of weeks in D.C., and it doesn't sound good, but then you talk to local law enforcement, and I didn't realize that this town averaged one murder every other day for the last 20, 30 years, which means that in 2 short weeks, the president and the team have saved 6 or 7 lives, people who would have been killed on the streets of D.C., who are now living, breathing, spending time with their families, because the president had the willpower to say no more. We're not going to give the streets of D.C. over to vagrants and robbers and murderers. And the last point I want to make, sir, to your point about we want people to welcome us, to ask us, because look at Governor Pritzker in Illinois, or Governor Newsom in Los Angeles, or Governor Moore in Maryland. They are angrier about the fact that the President of the United States is offering to help them get their crime under control than they are about the fact that murderers are running roughshod over their cities and have been for decades. Why are Democrat governors angrier about federal law enforcement helping clean up their streets than they are about the fact that those streets need to be cleaned up to begin with? It shows a real sickness in the head. head. And I agree with the President of the United States. I think most Democrats, rank and file, nobody likes crime. Republicans don't like crime. Democrats don't like crime. Independents don't like crime. Why are Democratic governors doing everything in their power to make crime easier to do in their cities? It doesn't make an ounce of sense to me. But, Mr. President, I appreciate you being willing to help, and I hope these governors take you up on the offer, because we should clean up all of America's streets. It's the right of every American to live in safety and comfort in their community.
And we've got the people to do it. They're signing up like they've never signed up before. Our military, as you know, during the campaign, nobody was signing up. We were way short of their goal, we were understaffed. Nobody wanted to be in the military. Nobody wanted to be a policeman. Nobody wanted to be a fireman. They didn't want anything to do with the country. We had an incompetent, grossly incompetent president who, frankly, should not have been there. He should have never been there. The damage he did to this country is incalculable. I mean, just what he has done. So much of our effort are getting murderers and jailbirds and people out of this country who are drug dealers at the highest level. So much of the energy of people that he let in, it was an unforced error. But I don't think they think it's an error. But I don't believe he believed it. It was the radical lunatics that surrounded this guy at this desk, who are brilliant people, but with the wrong philosophy. There were some brilliant people, but they're evil people, and they're going to be brought down. They have to be brought down because they really hurt our country. But we're getting it back very quickly. And I'll tell you something, our country's now it's stronger. I think we're more respected than we've been respected in 100 years. It's a whole different ballgame. J.D., could I ask you,
yes, sir.
You gave a stat on murders here. What were the numbers? You said in a short period of time, how many people were murdered?
Local law enforcement told me, sir, that in the past 20 or 30 years, D.C. has averaged a murder every other day. That's, 200 murders a year, 150, 250, but about every other day a person has been killed on the streets of Washington, D.C. We've been doing this for 2 weeks. 0 people killed. That's real lives saved that the media and, frankly, the entire Democratic Party should be saying, thank you for saving lives, instead of attacking the President of the United States for doing so.
When a person, unfortunately, will probably happen at some point, when a person's murdered in D.C., it's going to be the biggest story maybe in history. Right?
Yes, sir.
Somebody was murdered in D.C. Trump is failing. No, we're not failing. We have a safe city. This is maybe the safest city in America right now. That's how good it is. And it would be nice to be appreciated. These people, eventually, they're going to have to be appreciated for what they're doing. And they're going to have to be appreciated by the officials that are really happy when we go in because they've lost control of their place. Steve Miller, please, say a few words.
Thank you, sir. So just to, first of all, follow up on what the Vice President said. No police officer working in the city can remember a time in their lives when there has been no murders. You can work at the police department for 20 years, 30 years, your whole life. We've checked the records. No one can even find a record of being murder-free for as long as we've been murder-free under President Trump's leadership. Additionally, and the President spoke about this before, we've uncovered, in the process of uncovering, a massive scandal in Washington, D.C. with the doctoring of crime stats. And the Department of Justice, under the Attorney General, is leading the effort to uncover this. But when we ultimately share the results, it will stun you. The extent to which, even though D.C. had the worst crime in America, honestly measured, it dramatically understated how bad it was. There's even accusations that murders and homicides were reported as accidents instead of murders. I mean, this is how severe the manipulation of the crime data has been in this city, and it will all be uncovered and it will all be brought to light. I've had a chance to spend some time, as has everyone here, with the police officers in the city. Members of the public are going up to them and thanking them, just overflowing with gratitude, because for the first time in their lives, they can use the parks, they can walk on the streets. You have people who can walk freely at night without having to worry about being robbed or mugged. They're wearing their watches again. They're wearing jewelry again. They're carrying purses again. People had changed their whole lives in this city for fear of being murdered, mugged, and carjacked. It is a literal statement that President Trump has freed 700,000 people in this city who were living under the rule of criminals and thugs. And the last thing I'll say is that under the efforts of Terry, to my left and many here, what they found also is that the street criminals here in Washington, D.C. were doing business directly with the transnational criminal cartels, the foreign terrorist organizations. So not only was the city being run by these criminal thugs, but they were working with some of the most dangerous terrorist organizations on the planet to traffic weapons and drugs into this city. And what we are uncovering every day is shocking to us, and we look forward to sharing all the results with you. But President Trump, your leadership has uncovered some of the great public safety scandals of our life, and now because of you, people are safe and free for the first time ever in this city.
Thank you very much, Steve. You know, in Los Angeles, Beverly Hills is, great place. I have a house there. I had a house there. I used to stay a lot of time, spend a lot of time there. And a great place. You know that I have friends, they leave their trunk open for their car because they know they're going to be vandalized. They don't want the trunk ripped off in order for them to steal what's in the back. They leave the doors open so when they go in to steal the radio or whatever they take, that they don't rip off the door. They leave the doors totally open so the criminals, when they go and open the door, they don't have to break the windows and kill the car in order to steal whatever it is in the car that they're looking for. And that's at a level that nobody's ever seen before. Nobody lives like that. I have another friend, he has a garage, and in order to save his garage door, he leaves it open so the people can just walk into his garage, take whatever they want, and leave. But all the cars so many cars, I've been told this by many people, stars, big people, they leave their doors open so the doors aren't destroyed by these criminals. All over Los Angeles this is taking place. And you know that. I mean, you've heard that. Christy, could you say a few words?
Sure. Well, Mr. President, I think one of the most impactful statistics that you used today was of the 1,000 arrests that have happened already so far, 439 of them were illegal criminals, which means they never should have been in this country to begin with. That they were in this country, invaded over our southern border or our northern border or maritime seas, and then they committed crimes against the American people. So by getting those individuals incarcerated, we've stopped those violent crimes from happening here in the city. And sir, they do. Exactly like Stephen was talking, they have ties to cartels. They have networks across this country and other cities. So by what you're doing here is going to have a ripple effect in Miami, in Chicago, in other cities, because you're grabbing those networks and giving us information and targeting information to go and get more criminals across this country. So thank you for the work that you're doing. We have ICE and CBP, Federal Protective Services, Secret Service, HSI, all of our officers are working with all the other agencies every day here in DC, and they're so proud to have this kind of partnership. So they're so glad that you're letting them do their jobs again. And I don't know if you've heard, sir, but the recruitment campaign for ICE, when we were going to hire 10,000 new officers, we've got over 130,000 people that have applied and raised their hands and said they want to work with ICE. So no matter what the fake news says or what the media says about ICE not having support, they've got incredible support from the American people. People want to join them and help them do what they're doing to make America safe again. So thank you for that.
I was going to say that our recruitment drive, so it was dead. During the campaign, they couldn't get, every story was the Army can't fill up, the Marines, none of them could fill up. They were way behind. We couldn't get anybody to go into the military, couldn't get any police. We've just set records on everybody wants to be in, everybody wants to go in. And we're taking incredible people. I mean, the level of, because of the Supreme Court, it's based on merit. It's all based on merit now. It's not based on anything else. You got to, if you need strong people, you have to get strong people. It's all based on merit. But we're setting records in the Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines, the Coast Guard. One of my favorites, because I happen to have created it, Space Force. We're very proud of Space Force. It's amazing what it's doing. We're leading in space now. China was killing us. Russia was beating us. China was killing us. We're now killing China. We are leading in space by a lot because of Space Force. So we're very proud. But everybody wants to go in. We went from not, and you know how bad that is for the spirit when every story that you were writing a year ago was that nobody wants to go into the military anymore. And if you're in the military, you know how deflating that is? You go and be a family. Nobody wants a job that you have. Well, now it's the opposite. Everybody wants to be there. And that includes police and fire and everything else. You're doing a good job.
Thank you, sir.
You stopping a lot of wars? just the presidents we're stopping them. We've stopped 7 wars, and really the number is actually 10. We're not including a couple, and we're not including in there what we did with Iran. stopping their nuclear play. They would have had within a month or two, they would have had a nice big nuclear weapon to use. That's not going to happen. That won't happen. Pete, go ahead, please.
Yes, sir. Well, Mr. President, thank you very much for your leadership. And the Defense Department is proud to be a part of this task force. Just like we have been down at the southwest border, where crossings are at zero. We've got national defense areas where we're working with Border Patrol to secure the southern border for the American people. Just like Los Angeles, where ICE officers deserve to do their job without being attacked. We're really proud to be a part of defending the nation's capital and ensuring it is safe and beautiful and working with law enforcement. And Mr. President, let me tell you, the morale of the troops, getting out there talking to them, they love this mission. They're grateful to be doing it, whether they're D.C. National Guard or other state National Guards. And at your direction as well, sir, it's just common sense to make sure they're armed as well. And so we're rolling out ensuring they're armed, capable of defending themselves and others if need be, supporting law enforcement, and we're proud to be there, sir.
Well, look at the mission you just accomplished with Iran. 36 hours back and forth, flawless. Every bomb hit its target. They went right down those chutes, dark at night, no moon, no nothing. Every target, every bomb went right down. They have a chute that goes right down deep into the mountain. And they shouldn't have put ventilation in, I can tell you, because we use that for our advantage. But,
all right, it's 9:30 now on News Talk 107.9. We are going to have to take a break. Julie, really quick, your summary of Trump's series of executive orders this morning.
I don't have a problem with the executive orders on the cashless bill. Cashless bill is like, it's an oxymoron. It doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
So I'm fine with that. I am concerned about the flag burning one. It's going to get challenged immediately. So we'll just have to see.
Yep.
Those who are constitutional experts will weigh in.
Yeah.
Neither you nor I lie in that group. So I can say that as a patriotic American, I love it. I don't know if it's constitutional.
Yeah, don't know if it survives that one. All right, we're going to break. 9:31 on News Talk 107.9. Neal Larson, Julie Mason. Okay. We hear Podling Dan is making some racket in the Facebook.
Dan, you haven't been in D.C. for a while. Obviously, you said you lived there. I don't know if you did or not. I have no idea. I had a congressman sitting directly next to me less than a week ago who said this was 100% needed. He is there full time. So I think I'm going to believe him.
I could go back. I don't care enough to go to the effort, but you had a liberal ABC News anchor talking about how she had been, was it carjacked?
Carjacked 2 blocks from her place.
2 blocks from her place. You've had multiple clips from Scarborough, Joe Scarborough from Morning Joe, saying all of his liberal friends are actually happy that Trump is doing this. The last time I was in Washington, D.C. was, I think, 3 years ago. And I noticed a massive difference from when Trump was president and even when Barack Obama was president. That whole corridor of the Capitol that I would say you go from on one end, you have the Capitol, you have the Lincoln Memorial on the other, the whole mall area, and then working out from each side of the mall a few blocks. That's kind of the hub of activity in Washington, D.C. It has always felt very clean and safe, even at night. You have Capitol Police all over. But that last year or two that I was doing the broadcast trips to Washington, D.C., they told us, they said, this is not the D.C. that you're used to. It's not as safe. I do remember we had rented bikes to ride along the mall, which is one of our favorite things that we like to do while we're there because it's easier to get from one end to the mall. And on our trip home to get to our hotel, we went a different route, but it wasn't far from the mall. It was an area that previously was very, very safe. We didn't feel safe at all. There were more vagrants and homeless people. Fewer police were in the area. There was far more trash and far more graffiti than we had seen. So, Dan, maybe it's been a few years since you've been to Washington, D.C., but I am telling you, this was very needed. And when you talk to people, there's public pushback, like the media yackers, the people that get on TV, they gripe about this, but word on the street in D.C. is pretty much everybody's happy that Trump has gone in and cleaned up the place.
Yeah. Wow. Dan.
What's going on?
Now he's picking a fight with Brad. Dan, you got to back up or else I'm probably going to make it so you can't comment. So you got to chill. I just don't understand where you go, Dan, and why you go on these tirades. Also, the fact that you have to change your name all the time on Facebook probably says a lot about what you're doing on Facebook.
Yeah.
I'm just going to point that out.
What's he saying?
Well, now today's the anniversary of the withdrawal of Afghanistan, and Brad made a post about that. And now Dan's going after that post.
Oh.
Look, there's no question we botched the withdrawal of Afghanistan.
Yeah. Weird.
Lisa says, my father is in Georgetown regularly doing consulting. He was knocked down in D.C. proper and robbed. This was 4 years ago.
Yeah. 9:36 on News Talk 1079. Neal Larson along with Julie Mason. Program brought to you by Grand Peaks Prime Meats. We love Bob and Amy and the whole crew and team that they've built at Grand Peaks Prime Meats. Just go online and search for the packages and specials. Also pay attention to your mailbox because they send out their specials and mailers, and you can see what they have to offer. It's just the perfect time to look at, what kind of cuts of meat do you want to put in your freezer as we head into the wintertime.
It's a great time to stock up your freezer so that when you're trying to put together a meal, you don't have to go out in the cold. You've got it in your freezer. It's great. I'm actually just doing regular old boring spaghetti today, but I'm using hamburger from ground beef from Grand Peaks Prime Meats and it's going to taste great. So it's an easy, quick dinner on a super busy day when I have lots of appointments after being here at the radio station. And so that's fast, easy, and it's in my freezer.
So let me give you an idea. If you go to, and they have lots of different packages like Buns of Glory. That's all of their burgers that they have and patties that they do. They have the Big Chill and Grill, which is half a beef, 250 pounds, all the different cuts you have of roast, of steaks, of chuck roast, of short ribs. There's another one, speaking of saving time, Lazy Chef's Lifesavers. Those are their crock pot meals. You can get ribeye pepper steak, carne asada tacos. Oh, that sounds really good right now.
And they're so good, by the way. It's probably one of my favorite of their lazy meals.
Pineapple Hawaiian bowls, beef tips and gravy, honey sesame chicken. That's just a little sampling. So check them out, gpprimemeats.com. And if there's something that you need that's unique or custom or special, just give them a call. They're more than willing to help.
Mm-hmm. There you go,
All right.
gpprimemeats.com.
All right, Julie, let's take a break. We went long in that first segment. We'll be back on track when we return. Just ahead on News Talk 1079. Okay. How come I don't see this fight on the...
I don't know why. It's Brad Jackson who said it.
Mm-hmm.
And then he responded to it. And then he claimed it was a legit... He said, who made the Doja deal with the Taliban, Brad? So...
Oh, I was clicking on the wrong video. Here we go.
Yeah. And then he said... Dan shifted gears, went to it would be way cheaper to address poverty. Poverty is what causes a lot of property theft in the first place. Well, go get a freaking job. That's my very not loving response to that, Dan.
Yeah.
I'm also confused. He's clarifying when he was there from 2014 to 2018. He says, I was stationed an hour south of D.C. at Quantico.
That's not D.C.
I worked at a bar right across from the Bureau of Labor. So you were doing two jobs? You were bartending and in the military? I'm so confused. Okay.
Well, maybe 10 years ago, but the whole point is it's a different D.C. now than it was 10 years ago. So and I don't know, Dan.
He says you pay either way, enforcement or social work.
Okay, but...
So innocent people who are working regular jobs should be robbed and abused and violated on a regular basis, and the money should instead go to social work for the homeless people. That's your argument?
Yeah. Well,
I got nothing.
He's saying, how is spending $1 million a day for a handful of arrests, is it worth it? Well, I think what Dan doesn't understand is you have to spend a lot up front to get your community safe after it's been dangerous. But then when you create that deterrent, you reclaim some of that, of what you've spent. So I don't know. I mean, he's taking one little window here. And yeah, of course it's expensive. But it'll create a safer environment for the long term for D.C.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, and now he's saying the question is efficiency. Look, we tried to do efficiency earlier this year, and the left lost their ever-loving minds. So,
You know what is a good sign that Trump is doing the right thing?
What's that?
When people like Podling Dan freak out, and our 2 texters that are freaking out today.
Yeah.
When they become so agitated,
Yeah.
it's a really good sign that we're on the right track.
Yeah, I think. Okay. All right, 9:43 on News Talk 107.9. Neal Larson along with Julie Mason. Are your windows leaking air? Are they discolored or warping? Or do you see condensation between your window panes? Well, let's get that fixed. Before fall and winter arrive, it's time to replace those old breached windows. And Advanced Window Products, they are the top-rated replacement window company in Idaho. And why is that? Because they actually build the windows and they install them, and they guarantee them for life. They do it start to finish, so there's no middleman markups, Julie.
I specifically asked the gentleman when they were here visiting with us, and I said, can you get any color of vinyl you want, and can you get any size you want? Because if you're just remodeling your home, if this is, you're trying to upgrade the efficiency, the energy efficiency of your home, well, you might not be able to do a standard window from like a big box store, but then means the footprint around that window gets so disturbed. This turns into a huge project that now you're painting and you're reframing so much.
Yeah.
And they said, absolutely not. The windows are cut specific for the size that you currently have in your home. And then they're manufactured in the casings of the color that you want.
Yeah.
You're not stuck with white if you don't like white, and that's what you're going to get at the big box store.
Right now, take advantage of an incredible offer, $2,500 off when you purchase 10 windows or more. That's right, $2,500 off, 10 windows or more. Give them a call today, 208-852-8685. That's 208-852-8685. They're about as low pressure as you get. If you just have some questions, it's not going to be a hard sell. They're not going to try to beat you over the head and try to sell you windows. They're going to answer your questions and then figure out if it's time to replace. Go online to advancedwindows.com. That's advancedwindows.com. And they do have financing, by the way. Again, you can call them at 208-852-8685. All right, let's go to the phones. Caller, welcome to the show. How are you this morning?
Very good, thank you. Just a question for you and your co-host.
Yeah.
Between Los Angeles, Chicago, or New York, where do you think Trump will go next to save the city?
I know Chicago's getting the most attention right now. So, yeah.
I was thinking maybe New York, but I can see where Chicago probably more important.
Yeah.
So, and then what other cities do you think we need help in? All of them?
Oh, Baltimore,
St.
Detroit.
Louis.
Yeah, there's a lot of those that aren't quite in the big 3 or 4 cities that are kind of smaller. We have a clip actually from Tim Burchett who said he wants them to go into Memphis. Memphis has a high murder rate, and even though it's a red state, the Memphis proper is run by Democrats, and it's a disaster there too. So he's more than open to having them go in. So
yeah. Well, hopefully some of these states will start cleaning themselves up.
Yeah.
Especially, I like to see Newsom really get the boot right out of the country.
Yeah. Well, and I would agree with that. I think what's happening though with Newsom, I think we have a secondary layer here. I think he's the prime candidate for the Democrats right now to run for president in 2028. What better way to make him look weak than to have to go in and clean up some of the messes that he hasn't been able to, or hasn't been willing. I may be able, but not willing to clean up.
Well, maybe some of these hardline Democrats that are in California will finally start waking up and saying, hey, we used to be a really nice state and people wanted to move here. In the last 50 years, it's just turned into a big cesspool.
Yeah. Yep, for sure.
Anyway, have a great day.
Thank you. You as well.
So I think timing's really important here. He's putting the boot on Pritzker right now. He mentioned him how many times in his comments.
Yeah.
So that's Illinois. And I think he'll go into Chicago first. I actually believe they're going to let New York burn down as an example for the midterms.
Yeah, I think so.
I don't think Trump is going to address New York as quickly as he will other places. Now, Newsom's going to be the nominee. I'll put it out there right now. I totally believe he's going to be for the Democrat Party. And I think that it's more advantageous to wait a little bit and then go in and fix it the closer you get to when he's announcing his candidacy.
Yeah.
To make him look weak.
Yet don't do it right now because people will have forgotten it would have been Trump that fixed it and Newsom will be claiming credit by then.
Correct.
So yeah,
So I
timing's
hate
important.
that we play political games like that,
Well,
but that's life.
yeah, it is. I mean, we're not advocating it, but we're looking at if you're going to have the strategy, then you wait a little bit. I do think there's something to what the caller said, though. I think if Trump goes into Chicago, brings in the National Guard, stops the illegal immigration, gets crime cleaned up, Trump gets to claim credit for that. So you're going to see other Democrat mayors of big cities that will become very proactive about getting it done in their own city because they want the credit. If there's going to be political credit to be had, they're going to want that credit. They're not going to want to let Trump steamroll through and whoever's Trump's successor be able to claim credit for that. And so I think the caller's exactly right. These Democrat mayors are going, this is going to instigate them to say, okay, we got to clean up our city.
Yes, I agree. Well, so does all of it is going to create a culture where people start being law abiding again.
Yeah.
He went in, cleaned up the border immediately. What's happening? People are obeying the law.
Yeah.
They're not trying to cross the border. That's the same concept in these cities. You go in and you clean it up. You create a culture of obeying the law. Now, will it be 100%? No. And like Trump said, there will be a murder. They've almost reached 2 weeks now with no murders. That's fantastic. There will be a murder. It will happen again. But to decrease it is the important part, and to create a culture where people no longer are breaking the law is the long-term goal.
Murders, you just made me think of something, Julie, because when you're a Democrat, and I suppose Republicans do this too, but it happens a lot on the Democrat side, murders have value. If it's black on black murder, that murder has very little value. They never talk about those. If it's white on black murder, that murder has a lot more value because they can use it to fan racial tension. If it's a police officer that shoots a black suspect, that might be the most valuable of all killings that the Democrats use. There will be a murder in D.C. Trump's cleaning it up. We've gone 11 days, thank goodness. But at some point, you're going to have a murder in Washington, D.C. Watch how valuable that murder is going to be to the Democrat Party. That'll be one of the most publicized murders that we will probably have this year.
Oh, what's the phrase, Taco? See, it's not working again. He's running away from everything. He's changing his mind. First off, you got to let that go because the nickname's not sticking. Second off, you got to come up with something better. Second off, to go 11 days without a murder is a win.
Yeah.
You wanted us to recognize that crime was down since 2020. We want it down even further. But you only want us to recognize it when you're recognizing it, not when we're recognizing it.
Yeah. That's a really good point. That's a good point. All right, 9:52 News Talk 107.9. Quick break. We'll come back. We'll wrap it up after this on the Neal Larson Show on a Monday. Okay, so we got all of them in, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Trump has a big bruise on his hand. And Drudge that's the headline they're running. The bruise.
Yeah.
Nothing about burning the flag.
Or crime. Yeah.
They're running the bruise.
Okay, so the speculation is he's got this vein issue that he's retaining water, and he's probably getting an IV treatment of some kind
sure he is.
in his hand, and he's covering it with makeup. But the image that I saw, I'm like, the editors had to have adjusted the colors on that to maximize the contrast on it.
This I will say this on the Drudge one, it looks pretty real. I would also say, do they not realize that this is a full thriving industry to get an IV once a week?
Yeah.
People are doing it. If you have wealth, you're getting IV therapy.
Right. Yeah. Could they do it in a different vein in his arm though? So
I have
it doesn't.
no idea. I don't know if this is the preferred way. I have no idea.
Yeah.
And maybe they have a hard time getting a vein. Maybe they try it.
That could be.
And don't get it in the arm, or they tried it in the hand and got it in the arm, something like that.
Yeah. Have any reporters asked him about this yet?
I don't know. Maybe he got asked today because this picture's from today. I think it is, because if you see, Trump's hands are under the desk and it's the same tie.
Yeah.
Same suit, same tie. Oh, there's a microphone there. I just hit it.
All right, let's tease Dave Lent.
The caller, they don't just like willy-nilly go into these cities. That's not the plan. They've been studying Chicago to see what they could do there.
Yeah.
I saw something yesterday that they're studying St. Louis too.
Okay.
So I think that could be on the list. St. Louis is an easy one to go into and not create quite the controversy you do in other states.
Yeah. It's in the heartland. It's yeah. All right, coming up on 9:56 on News Talk 107.9, Neal Larson, Julie Mason, and an 80% consumed can of Diet Mountain Dew.
You finish that off.
All right.
You need the extra caffeine.
I will do that while you tell our audience about Dave Lent appearing with us tomorrow.
Fantastic. I've had an ongoing text conversation with Senator Dave Lent. Now, he hasn't always supported the same education plans we have. In fact, he built his own version of House Bill 93. It had a different number, obviously, because it was a Senate bill. And it did not go as far as House Bill 93, which ended up being the one that both chambers adopted, and then it got signed into law. However, that doesn't mean that he's like 100% against what House Bill 93 is doing. So we're going to have a conversation with him tomorrow at 8:35. He's been traveling the state trying to look at some new and innovative ideas of how to reform public education. He's clearly a supporter of public education, but he sees that we need to be changing some things.
You know what? I actually really appreciate this approach. We're going to disagree with him on some things.
Sure.
Because I think in our core, I think I can speak for you, Julie. The dollars should follow the students. That should be how
That's our preferred.
That is our preferred. And if you need some accountability safeguards, great. But ultimately, it would optimize the system to have the dollars follow the students. Well, that's not what we have right now. And I don't think that he would ever agree with us on that at all. However, one thing that I've said was I'm excited about House Bill 93 because it gives parents options. But one of the things that I would say I'm equally excited about is that this will spur innovation in K through 12. And I appreciate that Senator Lent is willing to examine, to look in the mirror, because he is a big proponent of K through 12, and ask, why do so many parents want to leave and take their kids out of the system? And what do we need to do to make that not happen in such great numbers? I respect someone. That takes a lot of courage, and it takes a lot of self-reflection. And I think that you have other people just out there chanting, not $1 more. But he's looking at it going, we need to adapt what we're doing. He understands that we are in a competitive environment and that K through 12 needs to compete for kids as well.
He does want the dollars to be in K through 12. So absolutely, he's on the
Yeah.
Maybe not $1 more, but he wants to do it the right way.
8:35 tomorrow morning with Senator Lent. Be sure and join us. We'll have the latest as well. Have a great Monday. See you tomorrow.